I'm back. It's time to cook again. So I'm looking through my pantry and thought I need to bake something. I found a recipe for pumpkin donuts. Now I love pumpkin pie and all that. I never think about making any of it until Thanksgiving, which is probably when most of you do, or sometime in the fall, but I had the can of pumpkin. Why not try it? So how bad can it be? I do have a little donut pan. I love gadgets. That's my little donut pan. And we're going to give this a try. Let's see how it turns out. It's also a really easy recipe. It's 3 ingredients. It's a shortcut. So technically it's homemade. You're just taking a few shortcuts, which is okay. So this is a yellow cake mix, box cake mix. You could use spice cake mix also, but I happen to have yellow in my pantry, so that's what we're going to use. So one box of that, and then 1 can of pumpkin, just your average pumpkin. Here we go. Put that together. I've not tried this before, so we're doing this together for the first time, but it sounded good. And what else am I going to do with a can of pumpkin right now, huh? I could make a pie. I love pumpkin pie, especially with lots of good whipped cream. Okay, now we also need 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, which is something I don't normally have on my counter, but I did go out and get some. And yes, I do go to the store periodically. I just try to be very careful about it. Hopefully you are too. Okay, it calls for 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. If you don't have that, you could probably use cinnamon and add a little nutmeg to it. But I was in the store anyway. I thought, why not try it? Okay, 2 teaspoons of that. All we do is mix it up. I was going to use a whisk, but I think it's a little too thick for that. So this is really easy so far. Hopefully it'll taste really good. Shouldn't take too long. I've also made like gingerbread pancakes and pumpkin pancakes before. Oh, they're so good. So much better than just plain pancakes, although I love plain pancakes. I like to mix it up a little bit sometimes. So I'm just going to get all of this mixed together. You could use a mixer for this, but I thought we've had enough noise for the day. Definitely going to be a thicker mix than usual. So let's see if I can hurry this up a little bit. Maybe I should have used the mixer. Would have been faster. Just a lot noisier. Okay. Almost there. Smells wonderful. Okay, so I've sprayed my donut pan with non-stick cooking spray. And what we're going to do now is put it into that pan. I've preheated the oven to 350. And let's see how that goes. A little bit of pumpkin left there. We'll mix that in. Don't want to waste any of that good flavor. Okay. Alright, so we're going to try what I see them do on TV all the time. Only I'm not going to get a fancy bag and a fancy tip. I'm going to put it into a Ziploc bag. And we're going to cut a hole in one corner and squeeze out the dough. Hopefully this works. If not, we'll make it work. If you've ever watched Project Runway, I always love it when Tim Gunn says, make it work. Because that is so much of what real life is about. Sometimes what you plan for doesn't quite turn out, so you punt, you figure it out, and make it work. Okay, that's probably good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and push some of the air out, zip that up, and we're going to cut off one corner of this bag. Just maybe a 1/2 inch. Just squish everything down to that where the hole is. And voila, homemade piping bag. Not hard, right? And then we're supposed to squeeze it in to the pan. Let's see how talented I am or am not. It said to fill it about halfway up. Oh, that worked pretty well. Okay, let's keep going here. Now, I'm going to have to tighten that bag a little bit and get some pressure. Get that out of there. And patch it a little bit right there. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. Third one. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how good this smells right now. I love fall baking and all the fall smells. We're going to have fall in April. We're stuck at home. We can have any season we want, right? Okay, here we go. We're getting done. These don't take long to bake either, so you can throw together a dessert pretty quickly using this. Almost done. Tighten my bag a little bit more. Well, the nice thing about this is you throw the bag away when you're done. You don't have to wash the tips or anything. Okay, that's about halfway full. Got a little more dollop right there. Probably should leave well enough alone, but what's the fun in that? Okay, so we've got those done. That's a dozen. We're going to put them in the oven. They'll bake for about, let's see, 6 to 8 minutes. And then we'll bake the rest of the donuts and see how delicious they are. They also come with a glaze, which I love. Icing glaze, my favorite part. So, see you in a minute. Hi, I'm back. So the donuts are done. Now let me tell you, they took longer than the 6 to 8 minutes that the recipe said. Actually went about 15 minutes. Maybe I filled the pan thicker. Maybe it's just a difference in oven. But you cook it until it's done. And you tell by pressing lightly on the donut. If it springs back, it's done. If it doesn't spring back, you keep cooking. Another 2 minutes. Do like 2 minutes at a time until you get it the way you want it. You don't want to overcook it. So now we're going to make a glaze. One of my favorite parts. So I have 2 cups of powdered sugar in here. I always like to sift it because that gets rid of all the lumps and makes it a nice smoother consistency. I'm going to add a little bit of the pumpkin pie spice to this. Just to give it a little bit of that flavor. Maybe 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. All personal taste. You can always add more. So I'm going to sift that together. Another good way to get it mixed up. This isn't really hard. I just put it into a sift, colander basically, and I just shake it back and forth. I remember when I was growing up, my mom had a sifter and you had to crank it. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember those or if your mom used one, but this seems a lot easier. Certainly easier to clean up. I'm all about ease of cleaning up. I wish I had someone that came in behind me and cleaned it all up, but I don't. And I'm sure you don't either. So we're almost done here. And you may have to, at the very end, just kind of push it through the sieve because I'm getting impatient. Okay, good, that's done. Now, we're going to add some cream to this. You could use milk, whatever, cream. If it's in the fall, you could use the pumpkin spice creamer that you get for your coffee. That would really give it a good taste. Then you probably don't need the pumpkin pie spice. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of cream. I have heavy cream. You could use milk too, but since I happen to have the heavy cream, I'm going to use it. And you know, powdered sugar is kind of finicky, so you can always add more, or you can add more powdered sugar if you get it too runny. But this is a glaze. I want it thick enough to stay on there, but it's not like an icing. So I'm going to stir this around. Looks like I'm going to need some more cream, but let's give it another couple stirs. Like I said, you can always add more. And I'm going to have to add more. Okay, I'm going to eyeball it. When you're baking, there is a lot of science to it, but if it's not a baking You kind of wing it. You have your recipe or you have your idea and you start there. And you keep going until you get it the way you want it. And we're not there yet. Okay. All right, it's becoming better now. Oh, we're almost there. Just keep stirring it till you get everything incorporated. And again, make it whatever consistency you want, whatever works for you. This is really good. This is more like an icing. I want it a little bit thinner. Just to be easier. I like to dip the donuts in it if I can. There we go. Okay. It's going to be so good. A little bit of fall. And it happens to be cool weather here again today. I'm pretty sure this is our last day here in Houston, but for the moment it's cool and this is going to be perfect. Okay. Clean that out. I think we're done with this for now. One last stir. Pumpkin pie spice gave it a little bit of color. Okay, now I have my donuts that have come out of the oven and they've cooled. And I'm setting them on a rack on top of a piece of parchment or wax paper, whatever, simply because it makes it easier to clean up. This icing is going to drip. And this is a lot easier. I can just throw it away like I did with the piping bag. So here we're going to start. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to just dip it in here, see if that'll work. I want a little more icing on it than that. Okay, I think what that means is my icing is still a little too thick, my glaze. I'm going to add a little bit more. If you like it thick, leave it there. I just want a little more of a glaze. Make it easier to dip. Okay, let's try this donut. I'm going to dip it in here, a turn or two, swirl it around. There we go. That looks pretty good, right? And you just set it on your rack, and we keep dipping. And it can be as thick or as thin as you want it. Like I said, I like thick. I like the icing. That looks good. You can always go back over it too if you have a lot of icing left and you want it a little bit thicker. Let it set for a minute, then dip again. That's a pretty one right there. So, here we go. Almost done. It's a nice big donut. And the glaze will drip right through the holes, so it'll look like a donut when you're done. If you have kids, I'm sure they would love to help with this part. But if you don't like the dipping part, you just get a spoon and you spoon it over the donut. You could easily do this if you don't like the dipping part. Spread it around. Like I said, it'll drip through that hole so it'll look like a donut when you're finished. I like dipping. That one fell apart. Okay. Put a little on top of the pan. Okay, so I see a couple that have a little bit missed. I'm going to patch it up a little bit. Like I said, my favorite part. And that's that. Now we've made pumpkin donuts. Now the key is to taste it, which I know you can't do, but I'm going to do. Okay. Nice and orange with that icing. See how pretty that is on the inside? Excuse me. It tastes like fall. You can taste the pumpkin, and you can taste the pumpkin spice, and that icing is wonderful. And that's it for today. This is really easy. I hope you try it. And I'm going to sign off now so I can lick the icing off my fingers. Thanks. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for joining me.